You're live on PM Express. Tonight, we're going to be examining one of the most historic events that Ghana is going to be undertaking. It's a referendum. The last time we had a referendum, I was a baby. I remember very well in 1992 when it was such a big deal. We're going to have another referendum, this time to create 6 new regions. It's never happened in our history, at least since these regions started in early days of the independence. Post that, definitely in the Fourth Republic. This is going to be a historic moment for many people in 6 regions, proposed regions of the country. But there's a huge threshold. Not only must there be 50% turnout, out of that 50%, there must be an 80% overwhelming yes to create a region. That is a hurdle that the man I'm about to introduce must lead and galvanize to achieve. Other than that, the president will fail. Will fail to realize a big, big promise he made to the people of Ghana in 2016. That is why this is no joke. It's a serious, serious affair. So, ladies and gentlemen, my guest on PM Express tonight is the one and only General Botwe. I'm grateful that you join us. And I call him General, if you don't know, because he was one of those wizards of political, I guess, mobilization when it came to the NPP, led it to victory, and has really written his name in the annals of this country as far as politics is concerned. And I must say, I must declare my interest when it comes to politics. Sometimes I consult him on the quiet because I do a lot of analysis, we exchange ideas, and sometimes succeeds to change my opinion. A few people do that, but he does that. So I'm grateful that you are on the show. You've had
equally grateful.
You have a tough time. You have a tough time managing it, and I laid it out. The hurdle you have to cross, the constitutional hurdle, is a very steep one.
Yeah.
So you've been doing a lot of tours across the country, just trying to get people to turn out first, and then hope that when they turn out, they vote yes. Not just any yes. This is not what you normally do when first past the post, 50% plus 1. You need 80%. How have you gone about galvanizing the country behind this agenda?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. First 2 things. I was actually, I thought you were going to make reference to the 1977 referendum.
Okay.
But since you said you were a baby in 92.
I wasn't alive then, so yes.
I can understand why you didn't make reference to 77, the Unigov.
I was a teenager, by the way, in 1992, not a baby in that sense. Yes.
So that is it. And then, maybe to position this discussion, the internal problem or debate we have is what is not the case as you started it.
Okay.
We actually are not galvanizing
people.
You know, we have restrained ourselves. That's why there is the internal struggle. Because this whole process, we are supposed to facilitate.
Okay.
We don't take sides. Okay. We don't tell anybody to go and vote yes. We don't tell anybody to go and vote no. We are not mobilizing for people to vote yes. It is the duty of those who petitioned.
Okay.
Yes. So that is there. So you can imagine me going to the field, looking at people who are organizing for, the polls. And I wish I could tell them, why are you not doing it this way? Why are you not going here? Why are you not using this message? But I'm restrained.
That is an impossible task.
That is a difficult one.
Because if they don't turn out, you take the blame. None of those who petition will take the blame.
We are not supposed to take the blame.
But Ghanaians
because
will.
You see, that's what we try to explain. And right from last year, in all the interaction we have with the media, we have sensitized the media, the petitioners themselves, we try to explain to Ghanaians. In any opportunity we had, we've explained to Ghanaians.
Okay.
That one, that you rightly said, this whole thing starts from chapter 2 of the Constitution. Yeah. That talks about territories of Ghana. And it has 2 articles, Article 4 and Article 5. And I always carry these 2 constitutions. The 69 Constitution also had the same thing.
Okay.
Territories of Ghana.
So this was a lift into 1992?
79 Constitution. Okay. The same thing. So this is something that has been carried on in our constitutions all this while. They've always had discussion on territories of Ghana, and they have always explained in the Constitution that you can get a new region, you can merge 2 or more regions, or you can alter the boundary of an existing region. Yeah. In all, these are the processes that you have to go through. Yeah. The same rendition 69, 79, and then 92. Yeah. And there are 2 things, at least if you make reference to 92. Yeah. Article 5.2 says that if people petition for any of these 3 things, then it triggers the process. Mr. President, go seek advice of Council of State. Then Article 5.3 says that even if nobody petitions, Mr. President on his own can trigger the process. If Mr. President had gone by 5.3, then maybe we will have a bit more of, the duty to explain more and get people to, because that time Mr. President says, I want to create state residence. It's my own initiative. Okay. But he came by, he accepted 5.2, where it is the petitioners. So from day one, Mr. President had explained that it's demand-driven. The government is not going to spend a peso in the campaigning process to campaign to vote for yes or campaign to vote no. So we are not involved in that. That is the difficult thing for us. It is. We're trying to explain to the people that they themselves should ensure that they campaign, they have to find their own polling agents to go and monitor the polls. We are not involved, but we are explaining, facilitating, trying to educate them. That's what we have been doing so far. So I thought.
So when you went around the country, what was the purpose of the going around? Because I know you've been around a lot.
Yes.
What were you doing?
From 2017, there was a need, just as you rightly said. It's the first time we are invoking these constitutional provisions. And we've not done it, with regards to creating religion. The last one, the religion was created in 1983. Military rule that time, so created Upper West is done. But to go through this process under this constitution is the first time. So we needed to go and explain, sensitize the petitioners and all that. We got Information Service Department involved. We also met in each region where they showed this interest. We invited district directors of NCCE. In fact, earlier on, the chairperson, the commission had organized a retreat, their own program, where they gave us the opportunity to attend, to also explain to them, all regional directors, even including those who have not even petitioned, to explain to them the constitutional provisions and how we're going to go about the whole program. So our work has been sensitization, education, all along. Yeah. So to make people understand, because it's a new thing that we are all doing, and it's uncharted territory.
Put it in context. What it means is it's possible, but after the 27th, we might not necessarily, people have almost come to a conclusion that this is a formality. We might actually end up with not 6 regions, maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe none at all, because of the steep constitutional requirements, as you rightly quoted in the Constitution.
Exactly. That's how we are trying to get people.
Are you? Because once it's created, whatever happens, the burden then forms of government to invest in bringing these new regions up to the level of development required of a region. Capitals has to be created, etc. Are we prepared for all the eventualities?
Yes, we are. We are. Let me emphasize that point. We've told them, yes, it's 6 regions, proposed regions. Even the names are still proposed. Yeah, it's important to emphasize that. And so if on 27th, incidentally exactly a week today, if we finish and only 1 proposed region was able to cross the 50% turnout mark and 80% of those who vote yes, then we have only 1. So we'll have 11. If 2, we'll have 12. If none, it will remain 10. If we got all the 6, we'll have 16. So that's how it is. And the onus is on the petitioners and the people who, petitioners, the chiefs and the opinion leaders who petition on behalf of their people. That is their work. We are not campaigning. So it's not as if government is going to be marked and said, well, if you got only 1 region, then government, you have failed. No, not at all. Not at all.
Since you're a politician, let me spin that and ask the question. Because since it was a manifesto promise,
yes,
your opponents can rightly say to you, if you don't get the regions created, if the regions are not created, or after 27th, that there wasn't this, because the president told us that people petitioned The commission came back and said, we found, and I read the report that was published recently, which was a good thing. After the people called for it, the president said, publish it. It was done. They said they found enough basis in terms of the core to recommend that the thing is created. And the president had said, well, I went around, I had petitions, and I thought this was necessary. Your opponents can spin it and say, there wasn't that, and we spent all this money. In fact, in Parliament already, your allocation, 122 million. You know that already the minorities fighting it and saying, you don't deserve that amount. It should go to the local government ministry because they are the agents in charge of the creation. They can spin it and say, you made it a manifesto promise and you failed to deliver.
Exactly. Not exactly, because the manifesto promise was to follow the constitutional provisions. It's just like the promise to elect DCs. Yes, it's a promise. But to do it, just as Mr. President said it a day before, you have to go to the constitutional provisions. You may have to even amend the constitution. And if on next year during the elections of the district assemblies, people are supposed to, the proposal is that you also vote on a referendum to amend the constitution. Do you want people to be elected on partisan basis? If Ghanaians say no, what can Mr. President do? You cannot do that. It's a promise, but the promise is based on constitutional provisions. You are supposed to, yes, want to have it, facilitate the process. And incidentally, one of the major policies that both NDC, MPP, parties in Parliament agreed, page 67 of our manifesto, we talked about it. And page 72, 73 of NDC manifesto, they also talked about the same thing, yes. But the language was to facilitate the process because we're very much aware of the provisions of the constitution. It's not something Mr. President can just do.
Okay.
You understand? Yeah. And Mr. President always makes reference when he was inaugurating when the Council of State actually came to give their advice, that one of the key things that were discussed in that historic meeting he had with the former president, President Ronald, President Kufuor, President Mahama, was this regional reorganization. Because all of them have been seized by it. The petitions that came, you have those that were really typed. Like you said, use the typewriter that they used in 1980-something petition that they have sent to previous heads of states about their regional case, over 3 decades. So they were all seized with the matter. And in fact, he said it, that upon the discussion that took place, he decided, well, he'll go by even Article 5.2, the route to get it done. Okay. So yes, it's the constitutional provision, is a manifesto promise, but we are not going to be assessed. Anybody who understands the constitutional provision that, oh, if you get only 1, then you have failed. If you got 5, no, not at all. Yeah. Because the easiest thing for me to do is to have helped in this campaign. Yeah. Very, very easy. To really go down with them and convince people why they should. But we never say that. I was in Nkwanta 2 days ago. I was there. I saw people doing what they are doing. I cannot comment. I cannot say, go and vote yes. No, it's wrong. And government is not spending any money in their campaign. If we were, then we'll have talked about wasting money and then we did not. We are not. All that we are doing is just facilitating the process, creating their platform, meeting their chiefs and opinion leaders who petitioned, and discussing issues with them, liaising with electoral commission. Because many of these chiefs, have not been party to this partisan politics. But so the process of getting our agents doing this, even the CI, when the CI government, CI 109, which we helped electoral commission lead in Parliament, we had to go around and literally explain to them the provisions in the CI, when they should even fill the letters for their agents, when the pictures and the names of the 10 officers are posted, they have to go and see whether they have problems with it, like we do as a political party. They don't do it. And they're contesting this election not as political parties, but as an interested group, as the CI, has described them. And so there was a need for them. Some of them did not even know that there should be a CI to govern the elections. So that's what we have been trying to do. And the last one we did was to send even copies of the CI to them. Please, this is the CI, it governs the referendum, so study it and take part in the referendum. That's what we have been doing, the facilitating role. Yes, but we are not campaigning at all.
Fundamental question. Why does Ghana need 6 new regions? At this point in our life, when we lack resources, the president we've taken a lot of loans across the world. We're going to increase our administrative regions. That is going to put extra burden on an already burdened economy. What's the argument for this?
That's why I try to talk to your colleagues when I'm asked to for such interview, because I know that these things come up, and I know that people will get disappointed. Because again, we try as much as possible not to get involved in that. Because once you
because the people's, you say it's the people's
once
wish.
you begin to explain and argue for the need for 6 regions, in other words, I'm saying that they should vote yes. You see, and we are under strict instruction to be neutral.
Let me rephrase
because if I
that
begin
question,
to explain why there's the need for the regions, and if I'm to quote some of the, of course, we read the petitions. You know, bringing government closer to the people, accelerated development. If I begin to go on that tangent, it means I'm campaigning for yes. So we try not to do that. But I can say that I try to be general on it. I've just shown you the Constitution.
Yeah.
Why wasn't it in the 1969 Constitution? Why was the same thing repeated in the 79 Constitution? And why is it in the 92 Constitution? There's a basis for it. It just, you don't have many things, I mean, being repeated like that. As far back 69, it's almost 50 years ago. They believe that there might be a time people may want new regions. There may be a time people may want even 2 or more regions merged. So you can have more regions, and at a particular time, later in the history, you may want to merge them. The Constitution has made provision for that. 69, 79, 92. Or you can also alter the budget. So there should be reasons for that. And I believe that once there's a constitutional provision for that, and people are asking it based on the Constitution, they are Ghanaians. It's redistribution of resources in actual fact. You're not going to add anybody from outside Ghana to it. It's the same Ghanaians, redistribution of resources. We had this figure 110. For a long time, Ghana had 110 districts.
Yeah.
Now we are almost 260.
Yeah.
My constituency, Okre, benefited from it this year, district. And you have to go to Okre and ask them whether there was a need to get a district. Yeah. And you get a resounding yes. You know, because even now, just with 2 common funds that they have received, they can tell of the difference of how their district is begin to get development. So the same reason goes for that. You know, but as I said, we try to restrain ourselves as for the reason why there should be new regions this time, because any argument that explains it means you are speaking for years. Yeah. And the people who are no will not take kindly to that. But there is, and I may add, there have been many academic arguments, but there are people who have written on this matter, who have argued for it a long time ago. And I've always tried to make references. There are people who are writing even now, and I've told people, 2007, Ghana 50 years anniversary, there was a lecture to mark the 50th anniversary of our independence. And Professor Kumado. Yeah. And we all know who Professor Kumado is. Yes. And you can always get it on the net. He argued that Ghana needs no less than 20 regions. And he laid the basis for it. He said Ghana needs no less than 20 regions. So you see, academically, you have people who speak for it, others have different views, but you all come back to the Constitution. Is there a basis for it? What could have been the reasons why the framers of the Constitution for which we accepted thought that there may be a time for that? And if this is the time, you don't even get it easily. You have to go through the process. And getting that threshold is not easy. Because the average, you do the analysis of the 3 district assembly elections, the turnout, apart from Northern region, which had 51, 52 or so % turnout, all the other regions never got 50% turnout. 37, 38, 40% turnout. So getting 50% turnout is not an easy thing. And getting 80% of the
50% turnout.
Is not. So it means that, yes, it's the people's right. At any time, any exercise that gives people the fundamental right to express themselves, isn't a waste of money. So that's how we develop our democracy in our institutions. So it is it. It has a basis in it. They have asked for it. The president has followed the Constitution diligently. He sought the advice of the Council of State. A commission of inquiry was formed. They did their work, and the recommendations have been referred to the Electoral Commission, and it's going through the process. It's demand-driven. It's not a government, it's the wish of government, yes, but they are not involved in campaigning for the yes. No, we are not.
Let's return to the Constitution and the minority in Parliament when your allocation for 2019 was being considered. 122 million cedis. Raised a constitutional objection. In fact, they had threatened to walk out when your budgets were, because they said you are violating the constitution.
In fact, they tried working out first time when the committee report
had come before.
Subsidiary legislation, they also worked out. So
their argument is this.
You are not sure whether they are developing a cold feet towards this whole regional creation, even though it was in their constitution.
The argument is this, that the laws give the local government ministry sole control over regions, and hence diverting resources.
Which law is this?
Ministry of Regional Reorganization. Is it the
Constitution?
Where
in the Constitution?
That and let me quote the minority leader. He's a lawyer himself. He says, "Why are we taking away the powers and mandates of the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development to a new Ministry of Regional Reorganization? I don't find this as constitutionally acceptable. The Constitution says regions are under the Ministry of Local Government, and so if anyone needs money for it, it should be the Ministry of Local Government." What's your reaction to that?
Well, I'm not so sure the basis for the constitutional provisions he quoted. I don't know whether you know about it.
Well, that's a quote. That's a lawyer. There's no mean person and a minority leader. You disagree?
It's interesting when you talk. My fundamental thing, my friends lawyers always have a problem. I say, look, the fact that you say that doesn't mean that, because when two lawyers say different things, which one do we take? That's why we always go to a judge. You understand? Because it was the position of minority leader that not only the petition people should vote. He had that's one proposition.
And the Supreme Court disagreed
with that. Supreme Court 7-0. So, I mean, these things. Again, you and I know, apart from the Attorney General position, ministry, is there any ministry stated in the Constitution?
No.
So what is it?
But there is...
Is there any ministry that government has to create this ministry by all means? Which one? I don't know. Maybe for public education, people can tell us. Is there any ministry that there should be this ministry? That the president should by all means have this ministry named as such, apart from the Attorney General? Where? No, you can. Some of the national security, defense, some of the interior, some of these things like that. But for the functions, Mr. President can decide to do this. Mr. President has created a ministry for regional reorganization and development. The budget that was approved for us, 2018, we had goods and services and all ministries, compensation, then CAPEX, capital expenditure. 2019 is the same goods and services, compensation, and in page 215 of the budget statement, 2019, the government decided that there should be a seed money for each of these proposed regions.
Assuming they succeed.
Yeah, they succeed. Because you should plan for it. You should plan for it. Multimedia wants to establish 2 or 3 news stations. They will have to plan for it. They may not end up not established, but at least you should budget for it. Yeah. So that was done.
Okay. How much was devoted to that seat?
20 million Ghana cedis for each proposed region. Okay. So that's 120 million. And so in actual fact, the budget for the ministry is about 2 million. Yeah. Yeah, but this one, it go to the name of our ministry anyway. It's Ministry of Regional Reorganization and Development. So they should have questioned in the first place why the ministry was named Ministry of Regional Reorganization and Development. If the whole work was just to reorganize and change, then why the word development? Yeah. Now, and the Mr. President views that when such a thing is done, there should be some affirmative action. There should be a deliberate effort to respond to the aspirations of the people. You know, because people have also argued, and during my vetting and other commentary I've heard, the mere creation of the regions will not bring development. I'm sure you heard that.
Yes.
Yes.
But that's true.
Yeah, but that's the reason why it's said development. So it's Ministry of Regional Reorganization and Development, which means that there will be a conscious effort to make sure that the aspirations of the people, their demands, their wishes, for which they ask for this region.
And your ministry will lead that post the elections?
Yes.
If it's created?
Yes.
To develop these regions?
Because Mr. President has not decided that the ministry will fold up 28th December.
But he hasn't said that is a controversial point. Why? Because you already have agencies, ministries responsible for daily development of.
But is it the case that
why must you create a different? Why must you have one ministry for development of a region?
Well,
when Accra and the other 10 that are existing already function under the existing ministries.
It goes back to the question you asked earlier on. the need for regions and all that. So he creates the region. And Mr. President says, when I have a ministry to, as it were, shepherd this, after that, you have to still continue in the
Must
development.
your ministry cease to exist after the regions have been created, so that the normal course of things take over, so that the way the other 10 regions are managed?
It's only Mr. President who decides that whether he will collapse a ministry, whether he will create new ones, how he will even name them. Because this was not in the Constitution. True. It's Mr. President. That's why we vote for an executive president. And he has the liberty to do this. And he's done that. And he says, this is how I want to go to achieve this purpose, to answer. So this is the mere creation doesn't mean that you get development. So there's an affirmative action there. You are giving you a seed money, which means that they may even get more money. Maybe, I'm sure, mid-year review, they get more money. You know, well, they have to set up, you create a region. For example, in the budget statement, for example, my new district, the district Okre, there's a seed money of 2 million cedis for this new because we have to build bungalows for district chief executive director, coordinating director, heads of institutions, district director of health, district director of education. They need accommodation, they need offices. You know, they have basic infrastructure to take off. So the same thing applies to the region. Once the regions are created, they need it. You appoint a regional minister. Heads of institutions will be sent there. The public service.
So that's if you have a regional minister, why do you need a ministry for regional development then, post the creation?
But they are new.
You have a regional minister, you have new districts there, you have district chief executives.
They are new. They are not going to build their own offices through their own budget. This is done from central government. Yes. This is done from central government.
But that can go to district chief executives who are the real development agents.
No, they still have their common fund to work with. They still have things that they are supposed to do. Okay. Central government, these regions are established. It will be very strange that you establish these new regions and you think that they can work immediately. Children are born. They are shepherded. The fact that they are being birth have been given to them that they can be on their own. They have to be shepherded. They have to be supported. But that is is the prerogative of the Mr. President. He may decide that no, after this ministry should be collapsed.
And you have a problem with that?
Not at all.
Okay. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll be talking about some of the opposition that we've seen from some of the parts of the country where regions will be created, particularly in the Botwe region where OT is going to be created, carved out of that. We've seen a lot of protests from chiefs there, leading chiefs there, who say it shouldn't happen. How is Mr. Botwe's ministry managing that? And the Electoral Commission itself is worried that in these parts, maybe they'll need extra security on election day because of threats that we've seen in the last few days, people holding press conferences, there have been protests, etc. on the streets in some of these parts of the country. If it's created, you have to unite those forces. Is there any plan to do that? We'll interrogate that when we return from the break. Stay with us on PMS. You're live with us still here on PMSF. My guest is Dan Botwe, is the Minister for Regional Reorganisation and Development. We're talking about the proposed creation of 6 additional regions. Mr. Botwe, your task hasn't been smooth sailing because there have been criticism and opposition, particularly from the Volta region currently, which post 27th may be divided into OT and the Volta. There are prominent traditional rulers there, notably Toby Afede, who is opposed to the creation of the OT region for various reasons. One is the fact that they believe some say his influence will be undermined if that is created, and so he's publicly opposed it. There have been threats, there have been protests. What's your reaction to all that, and how do you plan to manage this going into the polls?
Well, I'm not so sure the Toby Afede is against the creation of regions. I don't think so. Okay. At least I can speak for him on this one. Okay. I don't think so. Maybe the processes and his interpretation. Yeah.
He wanted the
constitutional thing. Yeah, but I'm sure all of us will submit to the
rulings of the Supreme
rulings
Court.
of the Supreme Court. Yeah. So I've dealt with him. I didn't get the impression he was against it. No. He was one of the first people I consulted in early 2017 when I was appointed. Because he was the president of the House of Chiefs, and because many of the petitioners, those who had indicated that the petition were all chiefs, we felt that we would need the role of the National House of Chiefs in case there had to be a resolution of some disputes or disagreements. And a lot has been done. A lot has been done on the quiet.
Okay.
We've traveled a lot. We've met people. Some traditional areas were originally part of the petition that came from certain areas. But when the commission went into the whole petition, the Constitution used to say the need and substantial demand. Those were two words in Article 5.4 of the Constitution. They decided that no, the map that the traditional area presented, that this is how the region should look like, the commission felt that no, it should not be. So there have been some changes from the original petition.
I see.
Oh, yes, yes.
Give us details. What are these changes?
In Western North, for example, I'm sure you have heard some agitations in Amenfi area. Yes. The Paramount Chief originally signed the petition. He was at the castle when the commission started. When the commission began the work, they invited all the petitioners to come one by one for them to try to understand their petition, their history, their understanding, before they even moved for the public hearings. So originally he was part of it. But then as they went and they get the public, in their report, they thought that there wasn't that, they didn't show that section showed the need and substantial demand for it. So they did not recommend that the map that should have been the Western North should be the case. The same thing, I can mention that of Savannah.
Okay.
The original map they brought, it had Pandai as part of the Yabora leading the Gonja land and for the Savannah region. The map they brought was part of it. So when the commission fed out now, after regional reorganization, Pandai can still not be part of it because they made it clear. That's all the sensitization we did. And we met all the regional House of Chiefs, consulted all of them. It's not as if we consulted only the petitions, no. When we started as a ministry, we consulted all the members of the regional House of Chiefs and explained the issues to them, that we are not creating ethnic regions, traditional regions. The boundaries need not be coterminous with the traditional authority.
But it's part of the Constitution.
And that, no, it's not the only reason.
I agree, but it's part of it, because I've seen the report.
It is.
The report clearly mentions that is.
But that's not
even
the
religious considerations have been part of it.
Exactly. So it's part of considerations.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that at the end of the day, the boundaries should be exactly coterminous with the traditional authority. No, because these are political administrative regions.
Sure.
Yeah. So that happened. That we took a long time last year, consulted all the regional House of Chiefs, and we met all members of Parliament as a ministry. The commission, incidentally, also did the same thing. When the commission started their work, they did not meet only the petitioners. After listening to them, when they went to the region, they met the entire regional House of Chiefs. And almost at each opportunity, we emphasized that we are not creating traditional or ethnic regions. So it was done. So the people from the original petitioners from the Gonja land were not happy that Panda was taken. They weren't. They expressed it. They were not happy. But that is how it came out. So people not being happy that maybe this part should be added. You also heard the case of Tripoli.
Yeah, Tripoli.
Yeah, that no, they felt that they were allegiance to that one. No, it does not stop it because there are so many instances. Yeah. At the National House of Chiefs, there are chiefs who are in Region A, and skin chiefs in Region C, and they know it. We are even told that across Ghana, I mean, across to Togo, there are chiefs who owe allegiance to chiefs in Ghana. So international boundaries do not even sever your authority as a chief, as a traditional ruler. So how much more this? And there are examples. There are many examples. You can cite them. I'm sure you can be. Kofodia is in the Eastern region. I don't think the Paramount Chief of Kofodia, where he owes allegiance to. There are so many examples. Yeah. So we felt that wasn't this. People, well, you may explain, do the sensitization, but people will still push a bit to see the element. You understand? But the broad mass of the people also understand some of these things. You want to know that it was that nobody should register or something. But at the end of the day, when the results came, over 1,100 people registered. So you see.
To vote?
Yeah, there were people who registered. During the limited registration.
Limited registration
yes.
was part of the country.
After they said that nobody should register, 1,108 people registered. So you always have to weigh which one is a reflection of the wishes of the generality of the people. You understand? Yeah. So that is it. So yes, there are in the some sentiments expressed in voter region. Well, there are others who think that we are together, we are not going to separate us. There are those who naturally will feel that, and we should expect it. They should make provision for that. Then there are others who thought that, well, we should be part of the voting process. That opposition also came there. Then there is the issue of, in Hohoi municipality, a session, 4 traditional areas, Akpafu, Lolobi, Likpe, and Santo Kofi. They call it SAL. It's easier that way, SAL, S-A-L-L. That's how they write they describe themselves. That they wanted to be part of the OT. Because they have this history of affairs, they were part of Buem Krache. There's a Buem Krache map, which had existed so many years. And you know where the boundaries of Buem Krache map, and that they have always been part of the enclave they call OT. Some time ago, they said they were part of Biakuye, and now they are part of Hohoi. Sessions of them believe that they should be part of the OT. Of course, there are by all means other people who think that they should not. You understand? They should not be part of it. So those sentiments have been expressed, and they are still being expressed. Yeah, but you cannot stop them. But in the case of the voter region, what many people do not know, that there is a group of people who call themselves Western Togoland. They claim that that part of voter region, and even stretching to part of Northern region and Upper East, is their country. And that there's a country now called Western Togoland.
And they petitioned before to secede.
Petition before to secede. They have their own colors, they have their flag, they have stickers, and they even at times issue threats that people living in that area should not fly Ghana flag.
True.
So they do that. So those are the vociferous people. And people confuse it that people in voter region don't like that. No. There may be some people who have that, but those who are really expressing it, and they've taken it to international level. They have. Yeah, they are petitioning governments outside, they are holding fora here and there. You know, they need to be well funded. So they are printing. I mean, when I was in Kwata 2 days ago, they have this, Western Togoland. They have their colors, you know, blue, green, they have their own emblem and all that. You know, so these are the...
So this group still exists?
No way, they exist. They
have their peace, honesty, and stability as their motto. They have quite different from Ghana. You have a lamp there, 2 lions guarding a stool with a handshake in the middle. So Western Togoland. This is not a region, by the way. This is a proposed country.
But what they are doing is that they are telling the people who live in that area that why are you voting for a region? You have a country. So don't vote no. So the reason why they are campaigning for no is that you can't come and divide our country, Western Togoland. And that they belong to, some of the petitions they brought here, a letter they brought here, they belong to an organization called Unrepresented People's Organization, UPO. I think it's based somewhere, I don't know, it's Amsterdam or Greece or somewhere. And that they are affiliated to them, they have recognized them. Again, you ask them to produce documents, you still don't get it. But they claim that 50 years after the plebiscite, they were supposed to get their independence, Western Togoland. The interesting thing, though, is that it stretches, it's supposed to be part through Yendi, through that, but why they're operating only in this part, But that's it. So people should not get confused.
You've reached out to them because these could
No, we have not. Okay. I believe other departments of state have a way of handling that. Yes.
Let's speak to the politics of this. And I've heard people argue, and some of the minority as well argue, that this could inure to your political favor in terms of creating this new region, separating them, etc. Could be a political tool in 2020. So, for example, if you look at the division of OT and the northern south, the southerners are the real proper, because you see the Krachi, and if you actually look at the name, we'll look at the names shortly. The northern part of the Volta region has a certain Akan inclination as well, and background, heritage, so to speak. And so this is the MPP doing is brilliant thing that they do. So as we point to the creation of the new regions and the KUFOR, that they say, if you look at how the elections turned out, a lot of these new regions voted massively for the MPP.
New districts.
New districts. If you look at the northern region, where historically until 2016, there was a tough battle for the MPP. Until 2016, you did fantastically well there. The creation, the way it has been divided, politically favors you. What's your reaction to those who read these political motives into the way the couching has been done and the geographic boundaries that we'll see post-27?
You know, the politics, we enjoy politics in this country. It's almost, we read politics to everything. It should be allowed. But no, it's obvious.
There's no political reason for
no partisan political, no, not at all. Not at all. Because in the first place, in page 67 of MPP manifesto, we mentioned Western North. Western North, page 67.
And this is part
creation
of
the new Western North
administration.
That's the only one with it. However, because Mr. President started making that pronouncement there, the places that he went, those who have shown the interest, also made the demand, and he mentioned. But by the time we were writing our manifesto, it's only Western North mentioned. Of course, there's evidence of the fact that when they went to UT, they asked and he made a promise and all those things, yes. If you come to page 72, 73 of the NDC manifesto, they were categorical 5. They said they will increase it to 15. So
this is the NDC?
Yes.
Yeah, they proposed 5.
Yes.
Yeah.
So was it an anticipated political interest when they said they wanted the 5?
But my interest would have been which geographic boundaries they were proposing to be the 5.
Yeah, fine.
Because that would have been, if they were probably dividing Ashanti region.
And as to whether they were also going to go by 5-2 or 5-3.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. But if I take what Mr. President told us, I mean, the Council of State and the Commission for Inquiry when he addressed them, the fact that his decision to stick to 5-2 came out of the consultation he had with the former head of state on this particular topic during their meeting.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, no, he made a public statement to that effect.
Okay.
Yeah. So you are not going to, if you went by 5-3, then it means that Mr. President had decided to cut the thing here. Yeah. Draw this boundary here.
Yeah. This is alteration.
That's what I mean. No, if you create a new region, you can still create a new region based on a map.
Oh, okay.
A new region, yes.
What would be different from that in terms of the process, etc., etc.?
No, it would be the same.
Okay.
But just that the initiative, because Article 5.3 say that even notwithstanding any petition being presented, Mr. President on his own can initiate regional creation. He did not do that. If he had done that, then maybe people could read partisan political consideration into it. That's why he did not. That petition came from the people themselves.
Okay.
It did not. So it could not be in any case.
So I get your point. So you're wondering,
you have a government, a party in government came from opposition. We have 169 seats in parliament.
Yeah.
169 in parliament. The ruling government at that time, NDC now have 106.
True.
Look at it.
You want to remain.
The president won 1 million votes. Never happened.
It's historic, but you want to remain in power.
Yes, but if you can win such margin, you don't need to create new regions to get you to power. Then even during my vetting, I don't remember. This question was asked.
Came up, yes.
And I made reference. When we moved the constituencies from 200 to 230, you go and do another analysis, the MPP did not win all in those places. When during Professor Ahmed's time,
you didn't win all, but you won most of them.
No, it was a bit split. But interestingly, when it was moved from 230, and they added 45 to 275, we won about 23 of that.
Yeah.
So these things, they don't matter. They don't actually not necessary to the benefit of the ruling party at all. But this was not done. One, it's not Mr. President who initiated the process. It came from the people themselves. So you could not say that, oh, maybe he did it for a political consideration. No, he did not. And we are not looking at that at all. Getting government closer to the people, and then, in their belief, having accelerated development. That's why I said we always have resisting the temptation of
to get involved
and explain why. But the first time, if you go part 8 of this Local Governance Act, 2016, Act 936, very interesting on part 8, the functions of regional coordinating councils. You have to read them. The development planning functions of regional coordinating council, the planning functions of regional planning coordinating unit, and all other things. Which means that if you have many of these regional coordinating functions and they are really playing their coordinating role and their supervising and their planning role, it will really bring government closer to them and better monitoring of resources allocated for the development of the regions. Really? But you see, we always want to avoid the temptation that you are campaigning for it. Yeah. But you take, so when people talk, but we have decentralization and this is, as if, the regions are not part of decentralization. It's the whole Local Governance Act 936. You have to check it. We've amended Act 940. Major Part 8 talks about the role of regional coordinating councils, and people have to address themselves to that.
We take another short break. When we return, we will look at post 27th, assuming the yes vote is delivered. What will these regions look like? And then the real work will begin, developing these new regions. Do we have what it takes? The seed money that we've talked about, 20 million, it's a drop in the mighty ocean. Can this country carry that burden? And how does the NPP plan to do that? Stay with us on PM Express. We're still live on PM Express here on the JoyNews channel. My name is Evan Spencer. My guest is Botwe, is the Minister for Regional Reorganization and Development. The development part of this is a big part. Post 27th, the regional reorganization bit will probably cease and the development bit will kick in full gear. You agree with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you can
that's how it should be.
Yeah. So 2 years regional reorganization. I think that's what he's been doing fundamentally in the last 2 years, just regional reorganization. After 27th, then he moves into development. But that is, I guess, even more important because that is almost a permanent task. Yeah. Development never ceases. It is something that you continue doing until the world comes to an end. And 20 million, you mentioned earlier, has been devoted because you're anticipating that at least you might get, if you don't get all 6, you might get 1 or 2. We don't know what it is, but you are planning for it. Do we have what it takes to carry this burden?
Well, Evans, I'm not very clear what is defined as a burden in this case.
The development burden, the burden of development. Ghana, a new region.
Ghana, if you excuse my language, we are not adding any part of Burkina Faso to this whole process. We are not. We are not adding any part of Cote d'Ivoire or Togo. It's still Ghana. Mm-hmm. And so even it was, again, excuse my language, an empty shell with only 1 region or 2, we still will have development. Every part, every space of this country within the boundary that makes Ghana have to be developed.
But it's not as simple as that. It's not as simple as that,
no new
Mr. Botwe.
land is going to be added.
No, but it's not as simple.
And any existing one has to be developed.
It's not as simple
so
as
it's going
that.
to be done. Yeah.
A region will have a capital.
Sure.
A capital will come with demands of extra development. Because if you look at Accra, you look at Kumasi, you look at Ho. I went to Ho in part of my coverage of the elections, and you see that Ho is quite different from even if you move into Adaklu, which is really not far off. Yeah. You see, there's a deliberate effort to develop. Then you have the court systems that you have to be establishing. Yeah. So it's not as simple as that.
No, I'm not saying simple, but I'm saying that it has to be because it's all the Ghana, the other part of Ghana is the Ghana cake.
So my question is, do we have what it takes to deliver this?
We have, based on the resources we have as a country.
Do we have the resources?
But that's what we are supposed to do as a country. You have to raise resources. That's the essence of being in government and existing as a state. So whatever resources that you have, somebody saying that maybe I have 2 children and I have 5 children, what happens? Well, I mean, you raise the resources, take care of all of them.
Yeah, you have 2 children, you're adding 3 more when you know that
you're struggling. Yeah, you have. I have 3 children. I have colleagues who have 5 children, 6 children. So why? So they have a burden? No, I don't think that's how they see it. No, they have raised them, so they take care of them. And you raise money to do that. Well, increase. So many ideas are coming up, innovations, increasing revenue. So we have to, in any case, it's the same number of, people in the country, the population that has been rearranged. But people can argue that why not? We expand the bureaucracy. How else are we going to create more jobs and create opportunities? How else are you going to do that? I happen to tell somebody that when I left University of Science and Technology in 1984, the population was about 4,000. Now it's 40,000. Ghana, we had 10 regions at that time still. So people come out, people have to have space to work. So we expanded our bureaucracy and so on. It's still Ghana. The most important is how well we manage our resources. So that the citizens, if we are 30 million, we budget for 30 million people. Let's make sure that we take care of them, we expand and it fits into many of these new ideas that Mr. President Akufo-Addo brought into the scene. On my way to Nkwanta just a few days ago, we passed through Somanya, because I was going to my constituency. Then I asked her, what is this? Then the line driver told me, no, it's the railway line. I said, wow. You have to see the railway project going through Akusumu to Yendi and to the other part. A lot is being done. And can you imagine all these things come into play with 16 regions? The development, people want to move.
The civil society criticism, all you end up doing is increasing the political bureaucracy. Because you're going to have six new regional ministers and their deputies.
Civil society organizations are not merging. They are always getting new ones. Because the funding comes from outside the country, isn't it?
But seriously, what they're saying is true, isn't it? Because you're going to have 6 new regional ministers and their deputies. You're going to have new regional coordinating councils you have to build.
Yeah. Ghanaians, they're all Ghanaians.
True, but it's still a bigger burden on my taxpayers.
I'm unable to get it. Who's taxpayer? Those people, they don't pay tax. Those who be employed in the new region, don't they pay tax? Don't their parents pay tax?
But
are they not Ghanaians? So it's a burden to who?
That is increasing.
What is political bureaucracy?
For the political class, of course, they are going to laugh because
we allow these people who we call them CSOs, whatever the definition of that, to bandit certain words around, and we all carry with that.
But isn't the fact that you're employing more political?
What's the definition of political bureaucracy? What's the meaning? You mean the coordinating director, that regional coordinating director that may, they assume we have OT. So a new regional coordinating director is appointed. It's a political bureaucracy. Person, the public servant is what?
Is it not?
No, and
the regional minister and his deputy?
Fine, 2. But
and all the aides that come with it.
There's no, as I sit here, there's no aid here. There's no even guarantee that we have a deputy minister. But let's agree that we have.
Yeah.
All the people who be in the regional coordinating council, they are political what? What the term they use?
Yeah, a political bureaucrat.
What's the meaning of that? The driver who drives there is a political bureaucrat. Yeah. The messenger is a political bureaucrat. The stenographer is a political bureaucrat. What's the meaning of that? Somebody who has gone to school and is a planner who will be posted there. The director of budget is a political bureaucrat. We allow people to bandit things and we take it. I don't glorify those things. But Ghana, the people want development. Whatever you do,
can't we develop without creating the region?
We can also develop with creating it.
But I know, but that's exactly.
And that's why I show you 3 constitutions.
One of those choices is less cost to
Who
us,
determines
which is that we can simply develop without going through the process.
I don't believe so. I don't believe so. And that's why I'm saying that whoever they call themselves, the constitution, the supreme law of Ghana, people who crafted it and what we accepted unto ourselves, 69, 79, 92 said that this is a basis for this to be done. So people's views, why not? We have many. That's why we have many people having so many views. They could do that. But I'm saying that they believe that government should get closer to the people. In any case, the whole essence of politics, it will pursue policies and programs that will go to satisfy the aspirations of the people and lead to upgrade the quality of life of the people. This is an aspiration of the people. They are Ghanaians. Prominent chiefs, opinion leaders, their followers believe in it, coming from 6 different parts of the country. Many people of repute. Because they don't call themselves, civil society, or they are not. They are not civil society organization. Yeah. They are prominent people. Prof. Sadabila and others. He's been the president of National House of Chiefs before. He's been a lecturer at Lagos so many years. So when he was in the university in the 80s, he was a lecturer. They are part of the process. They don't understand it. They don't know what is good for their people.
So there's 20 million.
So people should
there's 20 million seed capital.
Can talk theory, but we are people who want it, know that it will help them develop quicker. And so I believe that's
there's 20 million seed capital.
Yes.
You agree it's not enough. We
Emphasis
need
of
far
seed.
more.
Emphasis is seed.
Seed.
Yeah.
Seed. You need more.
Oh, yes.
Where are you going to get the more?
From the revenue that will be generated from the resources of Ghana, the Republic of
The
Ghana.
limited resources that we
Yes.
already don't have enough of.
That's why we're working to generate. That's why prudent measures are being put in. Leakages are all being plugged to make sure that we have enough to develop this country. That's the essence of government, anyway. We have 30 million or 28 million Ghanaians. We exist in this same land space. 1 square centimeter has not been added to Ghana because of regional reorganization. So, if you were constructing a road from Accra to Nkwanta, anyway, I passed through that road, the Eastern Corridor Road, Accra to Nkwanta, and if it is 400 kilometers, it will still be 400 kilometers. The regional reorganization will not add 10 kilometers to it. So that argument has no basis. Well, people are allowed to be theoretical,
So tell me, how would this look like in pictorial terms if 6 regions?
Yeah. But we plan for here. Like I said, we anticipate. Yeah. We plan for the budget if it works. So we got some experts to look at it. Ghana in perspective. For Ghana Statistical Service, playing around the earth. That's how Ghana can look like.
So this is the new Ghana. That the people who
post
propose,
2017
are hoping for.
7 December, and Article 5.8 of the Constitution says that Mr. President will then issue a constitutional instrument to give effect to the
these regions will be created.
The results.
So if you pick up on this, you will see that this map has really been reorganized because of course, the people who proposed it anticipating that post-27th, this is Savannah region, and the Savannah is still very large just by looking
from Botwe to Salaga.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah, but very large.
Yeah,
and you still have the northern region,
yes,
which is there, which is also quite significant.
Yeah.
And then you have the northeast. Northeast is one of the new ones, the one in yellow. Never existed until now. And the upper east, upper west will still be there. But we've talked about Oti.
Yeah.
And you see, so that is the northern part of the Volta region, in Oti, this part of it. And if you look at it, that includes Kratchi East, KJB, Nkwanta South, Nkwanta North, etc. That part of the Volta region. And then there's a Volta region that we'll have as well, where the likes of Togbe Afede resides, where his power is, fundamentally. And then you go to Bono. Now, Bono will also have 3 regions. We have the existing Bono. Bono will be here. And then Bono East. Yeah. And then we have Ahafo.
Yes.
That will be created. And then if you come to the western part, currently just have western region. But we're going to have western north, which is in red.
Yeah.
And so if you look at it, you're going to have 16 new regions in all, this map shows. And this is what Ghana will look like post 27th, 2018, after the poll. It could be less of this.
Yes.
It could be less of this because if you don't cross the constitutional, barrier, you will not have all this. Yeah. And so this is just a pictorial presentation of what could be. After. Yeah. Having said that, it begs the question. So,
and Evans, interesting thing is that. The coordinating councils, assemblies, the opinion leaders have started putting into place their own plans as to which are the major projects they expect to be undertaken.
Oh, already?
Oh, yes. They have been very proactive. They're very eminent, well-educated.
There's a reason why you have the seed of 20, so once it comes up,
people in this business. And it's interesting when people underrate them.
Talking about that, one of the key hurdles you need to cross is which place?
Regional capital.
Exactly. The regional capital. Has a conversation started around this already? Because this is going to be one of the biggest challenges you will face. Because people are going to now vigorously
the reason why the ministry
lobby you.
The reason why the ministry may not have to be fooled after 27th night.
That's a good one. We've seen what happens with even appointment of DCs.
District capitals, at times you can see that.
It can get very messy very quickly. What are you doing about it?
Again, we've interacted with the opinion leaders, the chiefs, for 2 years now.
Okay.
And yes, it was agreed. that this is a potential this thing for trouble, but they should discuss it among themselves. Let's first get the region.
Okay.
You first have to get the baby, name it, and where you have the outdooring and all those things, then you do it. So he said, well, there's something that they fought for 30 years, 40 years, 25 years. This is the first time they've come close to achieving their aspirations. Started by some of them, their forefathers. So they will not do anything to disturb it. Okay. Let us get the region. After that, we will meet. Government will support them with technocrats, planners, this, that, to help them decide. Is
there any objective way of deciding
where
to put a region?
That's what I'm trying, the capital. That's what I'm trying to say. They will meet. I mean, they brought the petition. And I'm sure there's a discussion among themselves. But they may be supported to get technical advice, professional advice, as to how to side the region. Whether it might, well, this is not official, but among themselves. And it's true, I have the records here. Some said that, look, this whole business of putting the heads of all institutions in one capital can be changed. Is there any law? I said, well, I'm not very much aware of that. But you're saying that, well, if the capital is in A, the regional headquarters of education can be in a different district. Regional headquarters of health and agri can be in different towns. Why should all be in the same region?
So these are proposals that are...
No, I mean, it's coming from them. So that in that case, this whole business of people not getting closer, government being far away from them will be reduced. Because if you can see the regional directorate of health is in this part of the region. Regional directorate of agri is in another part. While regional directorate of education is another part, geographical part of the region. With the same regional capital being at one place. Once a while, the regional head may travel to a meeting. But the whole bureaucracy, government, regional department will be so close to a certain segment of the people within the geographical space in the region. These ideas have come up.
So already conversations have started on.
Oh, yes. Okay. And they've known that you cannot fight for this. For the first time you get this, and then just a capital becomes a problem to them. And I'm sure, it's led by our chiefs. Okay. Mainly, our powerful chiefs are leading this process. And they are the people we always run to resolve things. So once they are leading this, I want to believe they will know how best to resolve this. And government will be there to support them with professional advice.
That's Dan Botwe. He is the Minister for Regional Reorganization and Development. I'm grateful.
Thank you.
That you joined us. My name is Evan Spencer. Enjoy your evening.